Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I have the pleasure of introducing to you the Terran player in the blue. In the bottom right, recently picked up by Cloud9, one of the most reputable and largest organizations in esports, StarCraft 2, and I assume there are other games. It is the most creative Terran in the world, and maybe beyond. It's the Admiral. It's GuMiho. But facing him, the other finalist in this Global StarCraft League showdown. Probably the most underrated Zerg in the world. Not because people don't know him as good, but they don't understand he's truly great. It's the Rocky Zerg. It's Solar. Many times overshadowed by Serral or Dark, he's beaten both in just the last couple months, and I think deserves another shot at the Global StarCraft League Finals. And, maybe more in the future. He plays a relatively predictable brand of Zerg, but unlike Serral, he's willing to branch out, I think, more often. Yes, Serral occasionally will mix it up, and it's an inevitable comparison with the #1 player in the world, but Solar definitely in that same category of full-on macro Zerg, beating Dark to get here, so well-deserved. A best-of-7 TVZ, and hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully the next large bit of it, as I predict this won't be the shortest series, especially with these two styles, is about to get just a little bit better. Jimmy, tell me, what are we... Wait for the Actually, wait for the gets the creep tumor, loses 2 Reapers, so not a great day or game so far for GuMiho. Not an ideal start with the Reapers, but I think we can salvage it in one way, which is begging for likes and subscribes. Jimmy, what? 1,179 likes on this cast, on this series, on this video. And I'll cast another series. Probably not as high profile as this one, and I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far, and hopefully it's about to get a little bit better, as it's GSL finals time again. And I think we have a little time for a bit of an anecdote, because GuMiho is going for the most generic. You know what? This honestly kind of leads into it. 13 years of the Global StarCraft League. I remember, and for those who don't know, who maybe watch the stream, or don't because of the vampire hours I usually live stream, the reason it is 9 to 5, but the other one, usually, is because of the GSL. Back as a younger nerdling, I would stay up all night to watch the Global StarCraft League at 5 a.m. at 240p on GOM TV, and we liked it. All right, we could almost see whether it was 2 or 3 digits on the supply, and you'd have to navigate through a Korean site in order to get there half the time. But those were the arguably good old days, where Terrans would just make Marines and Medivacs and micro them, and Zergs would make Lings and Banelings. Now, distinct difference to today. Mutas, much more common. But honestly, so many of the build orders that especially Terrans and GSL have been using, some of the same Terrans that were features in GSL 10 years ago. Maru, Beyond. Almost indistinguishable from that time. We still have Marines and Medivacs up against Lings and Banes. But that leads us into a little more commentary on the newest StarCraft 2 patch. I know a lot of people have heard all about it and probably know all the details and formed an opinion. But in case you're watching your first series in a little while, about a month ago, there was a community balance patch, not put out by Blizzard, but instead a coalition of pro players and community members. The main key points here are the nerf to the Baneling and the change to the Cyclones. Now, we don't see any Cyclones here, so we'll go over that in the future. But Banelings with speed and now no longer gain plus 5 HP. And they no longer gain as much extra damage against light units like Marines when they get the melee attack upgrades. Another is the nerf to Fungal Growth. Infestors now have a little less range on Fungal, but Ghosts have a little less range on EMP. And Fungal only does 25 damage instead of 30. The result being that a Marine, even one that isn't being healed by a medevac, takes 3 fungals to kill instead of just 2. So just something to point out. Now, Marines still die pretty regularly when surrounded and ripped to shreds by Zerglings. As we see here, GuMiho overstaying is welcome for sure. Kind of odd to see that many Marines going down when clearly it was a better surface area for the Zerglings, but and Solar is called the Rocky Zerg because he will lose. I've never seen anyone lose more Zerglings and still end up winning the game, even including Dark, even including DRG. He just refuses to give up. He'll throw so many units at the problem until it is either solved or he literally can't build anymore. And he somehow bounces back despite being under constant and overwhelming pressure. And the pressure is a little less constant, a little less overwhelming if you're able to take out a medevac with Marines in it. A Liberator makes things more annoying. But Solar has been able to get 4, going on 5 hatcheries up. Relatively uncontested. GuMiho has had a mixed bag of a start here. The Liberator is difficult, but definitely not something impossible to deal with, especially when really there's no other pressure. The Marines are left behind, and even more damage can be dealt. The Liberator finding an opportunity. The Spore Crawler is in position, and GuMiho has bought himself a lot of space out on the map. He may be able to take out one of these bases. He's got some siege tanks. This is not just these Marines, but the siege tanks in the high ground. But Solar just wraps around the tanks, shreds them. More Marines pushed back. And GuMiho's attempts at putting pressure on the map met with overwhelming Zerg. And he doesn't have a 4th command center done. He just started +2 weapons. GuMiho, his nickname for about half this year was the last mech Terran. Of course, my nickname for him, but I shifted it to the Admiral because he kind of showed multiple other Terrans, from Maru beyond to Hero Marine and name one other Terran, Oliveira. The strength of both mech and the battle cruiser. Whereas, quite literally, he is one of the slowest Terran players in the world. And that is not a disparaging remark, but instead, he has a condition called hyperhidrosis. From what I understood, is he literally sweats so much, he has to play with like a mouse around his, a towel around his mouse. Otherwise, it just gets too literally sweaty. So GuMiho is the sweatiest Terran in the world, just in a literal sense. And I think that kind of relative slowness. For reference, Maru and Clem are usually between 400 and 450 actions per minute, which at this level, it's not a perfect indicator of how fast one is, but that's a big difference. GuMiho is all about working smarter and not harder, which is a very, very long-winded way of saying microing Marines and medevacs is not his strong suit, which is why I'm kind of surprised to see it, though it is game 1. So open it up. If you can get it done with Marines and medevacs against Solar, all the other builds I'm sure he's bringing to the table are going to be that much easier. But right now, Solar looking very strong. GuMiho is setting up his defenses, but Solar's happy to get a hive. He's got 89 drones. He's got a lurker den already done. He's got hydras on the field. What's not to love? There's just an overwhelming amount. It's just Marines and medevacs out here trying to draw them into some of the siege tanks. Vipers. Yep, there you go. About to say Vipers probably next on the agenda. Well, agenda's here. Adrenal glands as well. The 40% Zergling attack speed upgrade. The biggest single upgrade in damage for Zerglings over any of the melee attack. Of course, it doesn't benefit Banelings, who their attack speed is kind of irrelevant. Burrowed Zergling over here. So, you can usually, the best indicator, in my opinion, is the creep spread. Even if both sides are maxed out, if there's money in the bank, the creep spread is usually a pretty good indicator of how the game is going. As that is how much pressure the Terran was able to keep on the Zerg. Right now, the creep spread's most of the way across the map, and so are these Lings and Banes. Rolling into GuMiho's fourth. Just bashes into the planetary. And melts through it. 14 SCVs alongside it. I mean, take a look. Creep spread we don't have a creep spread counter, but you can kind of eyeball it. About 2/3 of the map, maybe 60% taken up. As GuMiho has really struggled to keep any pressure on. He might be able to hold it home, but this is a lot of leeway for Solar to engage armies on the map. The amount of real estate that GuMiho not only can hold, but rather even safely move out onto is being reduced by the second. He's adding on Ghosts. He's got 3-3 on the way. But, oh no, 2 more medevacs full of Marines, lost with all hands. He had to scan and deal with the Zergling burrowed underneath where he wanted to expand to a 5th. Game 1 not looking... Solar is playing textbook here. And so is GuMiho. He's just not getting the damage. He's not having the cost efficiency you need in order to compete with the Zerg at this stage of the game. Solar's just going to keep hammering him. There's no reason not to. As long as it's remotely close to effective, cost efficiency is irrelevant at this stage. If you could get the damage done, you keep going. He gets through another couple tanks. And overall, it's comparable. It's within a couple thousand lost here. And in fact, GuMiho's lost more gas. So there's no reason for Solar to let off the gas pedal. He's got 500 in the bank. Another group of Marines is going to be chased down, hunted down, and mauled to death. Another group of Banelings is rolling in. Only 1 tank sieged here right now. Some Ghosts are showing up. Another one clawed down. The Planetary Fortress actually holding the line. A bit of a disjointed attack, but Solar finds an orbital command. How many Hydras left on the field? He's got only 7. Lost a surprising... Wait, did he make Lurkers? Oh. That's where most of the Hydras went. He's only lost 2 Hydras this game. So, I was like, it didn't seem like he was that sloppy with them. Yeah, they've evolved. Oh no, there's a changeling in the pipe 5x5, right, boys? Wait a second, that's not the line. Oh no, a Nidus into the main. There is a siege tank in position to deal with it, but the siege tank's at the front. Blinding Cloud yanks another one down, ripped apart by the Hydras and Lings. And the tide of Zerg continues to roll over GuMiho. He's barely withstanding it for now. He's lifting another orbital from his natural. There's a Nidus right next to the Ghost Academy in the main. The SCV's long-distance modding from the natural now. This Nidus could turn things. Okay. He's got a siege tank in position. The Lurker still could pop out. He pops out a couple. He's going to need to deal with this. Another scan. The creep spread continues to encroach. Another Nidus. Another tank down. Solar just continues rolling in. Gets a little closer each time. Not willing to fight into the planetary on the high ground, but now GuMiho's forced to come back and defend his own base. 1 step forward, and all of the steps back. The creep spread. It's on his front lawn now. It's about to start blocking his bases outright. The orbital. GuMiho, for the 4th or 5th time, gonna try to land here. And for the 4th or 5th time, I'm going to be denied. 3 tanks on the way simultaneously. He's got 13 siege tanks. There is a greater spire, though, for Broodlords. Broodlords did get kind of a nerf buff in the patch. They move faster, but Broodlings have significantly less HP and are much easier to kill. So, overall considered a nerf, and I agree with that. But still very good at dealing with mass siege tank. Though the Hydras and Lings seem to be doing a good enough job themselves. GuMiho's up to the north side of the map, trying to do some sort of disjointed base trade. That is a bit optimistic, as Solar can afford to lose a base or 2. A lot of Hydras getting caught. Oh, but the reinforcing Zerglings. There's only a couple tanks out here. Even an Infestor in the mix. And EMP actually catches the Infester. Decent save, but a couple more tanks. The tank line is good, but there's nothing to protect them from the Zerglings scattered throughout. And Solar with a convincing game number 1. Only 600 Zerglings to start. That is not an ideal start for GuMiho. Needs to go back to the drawing board and pull out the McDonald's builds, in my opinion. I don't blame him for starting with your kind of generic Marine medevac sort of style, as in a best-of-7 series. You don't, especially depending on maps, a lot of balance and a lot of strategies are very map-dependent, all right? And having something prepared for each one is usually the key to winning these sorts of tournaments. I will have to go and see game 2 here on a cyclone. No, Alcyone. Alcyone. I still don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but the cool map with the mineral walls and the gold bases and the very constricted watchtower. That's the one. You know the one. That was about as textbook as it gets. Solar just slapping down GuMiho's attempts at early pressure via Marines and medevacs, building up to hive tech, keeping his creep spread and his larva production at essentially the maximum, and then just swarming him. And that was exactly Solar's comfort zone. Honestly, it must have felt quite good for him to be able to do that in game 1. A real confidence booster if he wasn't already confident. It's going to be the 3-per opener again. Part of the 2 rags build is to just wall off your natural. Terrans realize that the Reapers are going to be the best scouting tool you have. So if you have Reapers in their face, you're going to see any roach all-ins coming the moment the roaches pop out of the eggs, probably. So you're not really vulnerable to any sort of early aggression. And in this case, you can easily get your expansion relatively safely. Now, unfortunately for GuMiho, he is on the wrong side of the map to keep his add-ons protected. Depending on which side of the map, RNG in StarCraft 2 doesn't usually play a significant factor. With builds specifically such as this one, where the add-ons are exposed, it can make a big difference. And it can kind of dictate whether or not a certain, like, if Solar's considering a Ravager or Baneling already, I think he's much more likely to do it on this sort of set. Oh, actually kills a drone. All right, much better start than losing 2 Reapers. Gets a drone, forces out a lot. Don't lose it. Don't lose it. Two CCs on the way. The Reaper's going to poke and prod some more. Actually, Solar not protecting the back there. Gets another drone, does Gumi. It's going quite well for him so far. A much better start. Though he didn't choose to try to delay the 3rd hatchery here. I mean, he's got the Reapers hitting it now, but it's very unlikely he'll be able to get it, as the Queens will be showing up soon. It's taking a lot of damage. That's half HP. Could be vulnerability later, but I don't think going for it. Ooh, gonna jump up towards the main. Now, this was a bit optimistic. Or, well, he loses 1 Reaper. Just guns down some more. And the drones, beautiful Evo chamber block. Making the best of a bad situation is Solar. Oh, gets another Reaper here. The Queens. Get off my creep! Well, simmer down, Brenda. Simmer down. Nobody likes Reapers. I know. Well, now we ended up losing 3 of them. Was it worth it? It's going to be another Marine medevac build. Which... So, we haven't even had to talk about the new Cyclones yet. I'm very I'm getting concerned, okay? All right, I'm not yet alarmed, but concerned. As instead of choosing any sort of the more mech-oriented openers, that, in my opinion, have found a lot of success, especially for players like GuMiho. GuMiho is going effectively against the grain yet again, and getting, he's got to do something with that reactor, right? Not just for medivacs. Ah, he's going Armory Widowmine. So he's going to make sure they have that cloaking afterwards. He may just go Widowmine drop, which is a bit more mechanically inclined. We will see. The problem is you give up a lot of map control after the Reapers, especially if you don't follow this up with a stim timing. Once again, like, look at Solar's drone count. It's exploding. He's at 59, 60. He's getting a lair. He's getting a Baneling nest. He's adding more drones and Zerglings. He knows this is a threat. There are no medevacs here. With the Marines, at least. There's the medevac to Widowmine drop. And that might actually be quite a strategy here, as there's no spore crawlers. As Solar did not expect any sort... Like, there's no need for spore crawlers at this stage. He's just building them now because he's a little suspicious of there being nothing here. Widowmine will burrow. Alright, gets a hit. Not much there. There's only 2 mines, and the spores are on the way. The Zerglings, now he's going to use this choke point, but still not great surface area. The Queens are getting involved because the creep spread is so good. Citizens arrest. The Widowmine shut down in the mineral line. And GuMiho, Brenda and her whole knitting crew together are easily able to help drive back the frontal attack. And Solar has not slowed down his economy one little bit here. The only thing that may have been slowed are the upgrades, and that's not too far behind. GuMiho does have a significant upgrade lead. He's going to have 1-1 way quicker than Solar. Over a minute here, over half the upgrade. Zerg and Terran upgrades for infantry and melee attack and carapace are the same amount of time. So you can see exactly the lead there, right on the production tab. Marines come in, find a few drones. GuMiho definitely making more progress this game than the last. Though he forgot combat shield. GuMiho. No. Oh no, I'm looking at those Marines. Looking quite sparse indeed. You can tell because they don't have combat shield, which is quite a literal animation. That is... No amount of armor upgrades makes it... It's like adrenal vents, where the most valuable armor upgrade you can get is combat shield. As plus 10 HP counteracts... maybe against Zerglings, the armor. He needs... It's so important. 10 HP. A Marine has 45 HP, 55 with combat shield. I don't need to explain to you. Okay? You can do that. Don't lie, and they spell disaster for you. No, this is... Now, every Terran does this. He started it now. But this is a significant delay to his most important upgrade when going for this sort of unit composition. It's not the most important until you don't get it. Like, 10, 20 seconds behind, okay, but it's not going to be done until right along alongside the 2-2. Which means Solar's going to have a lot of opportunity with Baneling speed and 1-1 done to crush the Marines. Thank you, Solar, for demonstrating. And that means, again, GuMiho's going to be giving up a lot of map control. He really can't fight out there, but he's been able to keep a lot more of the creep pushed back. Sending out a bunch of medevacs. He has kept a lot more pressure on. I'm in Team GuMiho here. I know GuMiho can compete. He's beaten Solar. He beat... Wait. He beat Solar in this GSL. I believe he beat him 2-1 in an earlier group stage. Of course, Solar also advanced here. Quite a twist of fate to get to this stage, but... There's a mineral wall here. He can't go by. Solar, there's no way here. I don't know what he's looking for, but he literally can't get by this. which is a bit of a quirk on this map. If you could get a drone or two over there, it could help out, but that is, he's unlocked it himself. He mined through that mineral wall on his side. So GuMiho, he's got combat shield done. He's got 2-2 on the way. Solar just started his hive. There's a large window here, a significant, huge window. Okay, I wouldn't go that far. For him to get damage done. Ooh, the Metavex! Gets away, though. In the center of the map, quite a choke point. The changelings are actually jamming up a lot of this army for Solar. 2-2 is done. He's starting to turn the tables on the banelings. Is there burrow? Not yet. No retreating burrowed banes, at least not at the moment. GuMiho, does he have a Ghost Academy? No, he's got the Octo racks done. 8 barracks completed. Drilling claws on the way. We got a Spire and a Lurker Den. His Solar's covering all his base. He's got 87 drones. He can afford it. But there is still going to be a window for GuMiho to potentially get something done, as he's maxed out and before Hive Tech kicks in. Past that, we go to the late game, which Solar was able to dominate the last time. Medivacs head right back. Take out a queen, but most importantly at this stage, draw most of the army away. GuMiho has drawn Solar out of position. This base is going to be canceled before it can even be attacked. Solar realizing he can no longer defend that area, at least not right now. Bunch of changelings hanging out. Hey boys, smoke break? Smoking kills. And so do us, Marines. Okay, simmer down over there, Charlie. Medevac heads by. Solar being dragged back to his base. Ghost Academy is just now finishing. Are there any Vipers out? There's 100 Zerglings. Greater Spire on the way this time around. A few Overlords hanging out. They were bait, though. Well, they end up being bait as the Zerglings and Banelings close in. A whole lot. He's going to take down the rocks to open up more of the map. Gets through just in time. GuMiho with a couple more command centers on the way. Siege tanks back at home. Enough of a bio ball to be incredibly threatening here, but the Banelings are rolling in. And on both sides, it just continues to be true. The planetary fortress will be repaired. It wasn't enough Banelings. Big mistake out of Solar, but... oh no, we missed it over here, but we're going to take another look. As the supply is a lot lower than... the Banelings roll in, but GuMiho, he's splitting. Well, he loses 15 SCVs. That's a lot of it. The 15 SCVs with the base. A lot of this is replenished. These are changelings. Yes, throwing me off on the minimap. 3-3 about to complete. So GuMiho, you know what? Wasn't as bad as it could have been. Loses a few SCVs, but those can be replaced. And 69 is a nice enough number. He improves on it. He finished a few more there. And the mules will be added on as well. So GuMiho's economy is okay, but if you take a look at the banks there, well, Solar has 4K 1300. GuMiho is just looking to make enough to max out. Lurkers show up, gun down, but wait, there's more. Few at the front. The creep is really starting to close in here, though. Adrenal glands about to complete. Hellbat's added into the composition. He's got +2 mech weapons. Solar, he's got 85 Zerglings, 38 Banes in the army right now. There's a Viper. The Changelings are actually jamming up the Banelings. Viper gets a blinding cloud on the planetary and a siege tank. More Banelings rolling in. The Ghost will be able to hold. GuMiho gets a lot bitten off there. Greater Spire has been done for a while. GuMiho loves his siege tanks. Anything he can get from the mech army mixed in. But, again, He never really found an advantage in the mid-game, and the creep spread continues to encroach. Solar's bank continues to grow. He's closing out his upgrades, drawing even at 3-3. +3 carapaces, 10 seconds out. There's not enough room in the medevacs! There weren't enough lifeboats for the ghosts! And they were left behind to become ghosts themselves. The Widow Mines doing something to help out, but not nearly enough to stop the tide of the swarm yet again. Trying to get some snipes, but there aren't any great targets. Hydras are good, but the ghosts are vulnerable. And where is GuMiho's army? Is this it? That is not enough. It might be enough to drive Solar off this location for now. But it's not enough to set up a counterattack. GuMiho is getting outclassed right now. Very simply. He's gonna need to go back to school and relearn his own builds. I've seen you beat Solar, GuMiho. I've seen you take out some of the best Zergs I've seen you go toe-to-toe with Serral. And by playing like a knockoff Maru, it's not going to happen. It seems like we're approaching the same conclusion to the previous game. New scenery. Same swarm. Different map. Vipers, Parasitic Bomb, Lings, and Banes overrunning the tanks. A bunch more SCVs vulnerable. The tanks almost all ripped apart. And Solar pulls back to regroup. And before he can, GuMiho taps out. A comfortable 2-0 so far. GuMiho needs to go back to that drawing board. The board that he created. This isn't working. More one-sided than a Mobius strip so far. GuMiho is not the Bio-Terran. He's not the medevac split highlight creator. He is the Admiral, the last mech Terran. Please, GuMiho. Please. Game 3. Psych Delta. He's not okay. It's a command center first into a double gas with 1 Rax. Thank you. This is not a Reaper build. Honestly, I think the Reaper into Marine builds have been played out. Even for player, well, maybe Beyond can do it because it's Beyond. But even then, it's predictable. Zergs adapt. That is... It's the whole lore. And what has happened is so many Terrans, notably Maru and Beyond, in this same tournament, tried that exact sort of style, and they got crushed. It doesn't really work anymore. It might get you a slight advantage that you can work on, but there are such better options. And more consistent options. And we'll see if GuMiho, well, what he chooses this time. As Solar clearly, absolutely ready. A comprehensive and overwhelming response. It isn't, like, it's not flashy from Solar. We barely really looked at his side of the map throughout it, as you know what he's doing. He's sneaking out a few drones. He's constantly spreading the creep. He's sneaking in those upgrades when he can and making sure he has enough Ling Bane in order to shut down the Marines. That's all up until he has an overwhelming amount of economy in order to get Hive Tech, and then whatever that entails. Adrenal glands, Vipers, maybe just Hydra Ling Bane. Like, because against a higher tech Terran composition, simpler Zerg usually is better. Of course, with the exceptions of spellcasters like Vipers and Infestors. The Infestors to maybe lock down the Mass Ghost, which we haven't really seen too much of, so hasn't been needed. And then the Vipers as the Surgeon with a Sledgehammer style of support, where you kind of knock out or disable the key parts of the defense with Abduct or Blinding Cloud, or sweep away the air with Parasitic Bomb. Vipers they take some finesse, but generally that Hive Tech tool that forces Ghosts to exist, forces a few Vipers, something to get it done. It's going to be Armory Mines again, but with a Cyclone to start, so something a little bit different here. A much quicker Widowmine drop from GuMiho. Honestly, Widowmine drops not as effective as they are against the Protoss, but we will see. A Spore Crawler is on the way. Yeah, the Cyclone. Oh, the new Cyclone can be built off the reactor. No tech lab required. Are you Widowmine dropping Overlord? There's something wrong about this. It's not that Terrans have ever cared about ethics, but Widowmine, like, that's the most that is the weirdest Viking I've ever seen, GuMiho. Well, not exactly a mech opener. Not a straight-up bio one either, but it is going to be, yet again, Marines with +1 and Stim. Well, +1/1, important point. And Solar, on realizing this is Hellbats are waddling out. Alright, what is this? College admissions poster of Terran units here. Look, we got Hellbats, we got Cyclones, we got mech units here too. It's like, yeah, but why are your only 2 degrees? Infantry, upgrades, and Stim Pack. Sign up today! Well, so we're just gonna give up this base instead of trying to defend it. The Cyclone very light. Oh. So GuMiho being quite annoying by burrowing the mines on the 4th base locations, and that will significantly delay the 4th. The problem is GuMiho doesn't yet have his 3rd base landed. Oh my god. I'm sure Solar's shaking his head like, did you really go? This is the first time he's seen anyone Armory, by the way. He didn't realize it before. Just assumed it was a regular Widowmine drop, because why would you go Armory just to block the bases? Well, it worked, didn't it? Well, here we are. So Solar just now getting his 4th. I'm surprised he doesn't have a macro hatch to make up for some of that delayed production. We have a Hydra Den, Baneling speed. Looks like we're shaping up very much the same. This time around, GuMiho will have a significant upgrade event. He did not forget Combat Shield. He's about as close on workers as we've seen so far. So, I am waiting to see what the difference will be between this game and the other 2, as it seems like we're heading towards a similar mid-game here. But the devil is very much in the details. However much damage you're able to do, the fact that GuMiho delayed the 4th base, he's still delaying the north base here. Another, that has, I don't think Solar noticed the first time it did that. That Widowmine has 2 kills. I'll let you guess what they are. Well, you saw half of them there. But GuMiho, through these Widowmines, has delayed production and economy. Surprisingly much. And now has a pretty solid army count. The supply is 155 to 149. GuMiho at 88 to 75 army supply. And he has an upgrade advantage. And he's going to have it for quite a bit as well. Alright, the Queen's potentially getting gunned down. The Hellbats here to soften things up. But out on the field, well, more than enough Banelings. Solar's at 84 drones. He's got 1-1 on the way. The only thing he doesn't have are those upgrades. So if GuMiho can keep his supply up, he's going to have a better army. But Solar already has the economy to pump out as many units as he can provide larvae for. He's got 11 more Hydras on the way. That's a lot of DPS as long as he can protect it. At this level, keeping those Hydras alive is everything at this stage of the game. The Zerglings get into the third. Going to kill a few SCVs and most importantly drag some attention back. But GuMiho is driving through the center towards the heart of the swarm. Lings and Banes coming up. GuMiho splitting off enough. Well, more Banelings on the way. There is an infestation pit, but no hive. GuMiho's about to finish 2-2. He's maxed out. The army supply massive here. 136. Solar can't go above 116 without trickery. And the Marines are forced back. The Banelings rolling off a creep. Massive Widow Mine hit. Big damage. 26 kills. Oh my. Terrible, terrible damage. And suddenly GuMiho. Whoa, a little too close on the creep though. And loses, well, probably about 26 Marines there. He's lost 42 throughout this. GuMiho loses that supply lead. Still has the army supply, but he's on creep here. The Marines are not that well protected. The Hydra count is so damn high. Solar keeps pulling back. He's got the ground to give up, and he will continue to do so, despite GuMiho pressing forward. Now the Hydras are able to pick off the Marauders while the Banelings zone out the Marines. And if too many Marines are stuck in front, well then they're going to get melted. But the Hydras, there are so many of them, 17 Hydras on the field. The bio ball is thinning out here. The momentum has been crushed. And Solar turns it around 3 games in a row. GuMiho has gone for the Marines, the Marauders, the Medevacs, and even sprinkled in the Mind. And 3 games in a row, Solar has dragged him down with the Hydraling Bane and pummeled him with his superior macro. It is not working for GuMiho. He needs to turn it around right now. Trying not to go full angry coach, but this is not the GuMiho I signed up for. He's getting GuMiho'd right now. Come on, Gumi bro. You Gumi know better. Let's Gumi go. To game 4. Match point. Going to Hecate. 3-0 Solar. It's not over, but I think there has only been maybe, I can only remember one. There's probably been a couple of reverse sweeps in the history of not just the Global StarCraft League, but Best-of-7s in StarCraft 2, which are almost exclusively reserved for Premier Tournament Finals. I'm hard-pressed to see it. It feels like Maru keeps texting GuMiho like, yeah, just go Marines, it'll work this time. When Maru got knocked out just going Marines. Is not working. Solar is a significantly better player in that kind of scenario. He's, I would say he's Cyril's stunt double, but at this point, he's doing even better than Cyril in many respects. Just that. Unbreakable. He's not infallible. Solar. Not Cyril. Except against Solar. Okay. But I think Solar's main strength is he's essentially just Abathur. Okay, he's going to, like in game 2, I want to point out. Like, he got a Greater Spire as soon as he got Hive. Went straight to Greater Spire. Didn't build a single Corruptor. Didn't build any Broodlords, obviously. Because he's like, well, Hydraling Bane is working. Just because I got it doesn't mean I need it. explored the strands of tech here. Wow, this Reaper. Boom. Oh my. Doesn't end up getting anything, but did a surprising amount for... Oh no, GuMiho! Where are you go? It's not good. For the first time in this series, though, GuMiho has put a reactor on his factory. He does have a second barracks on the way, which indicates it's not going to be a battlecruiser build. I do wonder, this entire GSL season, when it comes to Terran players, notably Maru and Beyond, but also Bunny and Cure. Cure, not so much. It feels like are trying deliberately. Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just asking questions. But if you watch Beyond in GSL, Beyond lost 4 games. He won 1. All 4 games he lost were Marines and Medevacs. The game he won was a mass cyclone. GuMiho, known for mech. Now, I think this is nerves. I don't know. I'm surprised to see it, but this is clearly not GuMiho's best. This is clearly not what GuMiho is capable of. This is clearly not the GuMiho they even got, like, that deserves to be in this finals. He did such a crazy... We watched GuMiho versus Cure. I assume you fell for the clickbait. Well, it's not clickbait if it's real. I told you to watch that series because it's amazing. And it was. GuMiho versus Cure is one of the most fun series I've ever seen. 2 Terrans. You know how hard it is for me to recommend even 1 Terran nowadays? Well. But there is not even a glimmer of that here in this series so far. Solar is playing on par. Incredibly solid macro. GuMiho keeps trying to fit a tiny square peg in a massive round hole. And it's just a bit embarrassing. Well, game 4 though. Here we go. 8 Stim Marines and a Medevac. Another very weird looking Viking. We'll take down an Overlord. It's kind of crazy he already has Stim, but just for this. Lair is on the way. Queens moving to intercept. Solar's at 56 drones already. He hasn't started any upgrades. GuMiho starts his. The Hellions poking and prodding, not gonna find anything. Third command center on the way down. Hellion still hanging out. Baneling speed on the way. +1 Carapace as well for Solar. Keeping his options open. The Marine Stim. Show they mean business. Immediately run away. Lets everyone know what that business is. More barracks. More Marines. More medevacs. Alright, everybody goes their separate ways. Another set of Marines. He's kept the creep spread at bay. Solar has, the last couple games, gotten a remarkably late 4th, and I think that contributed heavily to how much GuMiho was able to get done. But he just never quite had the control to keep his army alive for long enough against the Ling. Well, okay. Some of the Marines. Yeah, we're the medevacs, though. Kind of gave it away there. And also the Overlord seeing it, of course. A triple drop towards the main. Picks the Marines back up. The Queens will hunt down the others. And don't come back! We don't want to see your face. Okay, Karen. Karen, stop. Stop it. Stop. Shut up, Susan. I'm sorry, I blacked out for a second. 1-1 done. +1 Carapace joining it. Solar. Queen saved. Mass Marine. How many Marines? 38 Marines, 3 Hellions. Another kind of medevac drop loaded up. GuMiho, well, he's keeping some track. He's kept his worker count almost even with Solar here. He's kept the production up. All it takes is one bad fight for Solar to either outright lose or be on the back foot. Which is why you'll usually see just small groups of Lings and Banes head forward and pull back. Because he'd rather lose small engagements and eventually find the winning fight than commit everything and potentially lose it. As time is definitely on Solar's side when it comes to these unit compositions. Well, the Marines working on the base. Another set of Marines over to the right flank. They will take down the hatch. Solar not looking that way. 2 hatches down. The best case so far, as all that production is knocked out. Solar's not going to have the larva. His upgrades are a bit behind. He just now started the hive. GuMiho's got a 4th command. Did it take 4 games to warm up? And he's finally starting to draw closer to even. Look at the creep spread. It's pushed back on all but 1 lane, and that's the least relevant one, as there are no bases along it. So GuMiho keeping the pressure. And I've spoken. Well, the medevacs having a bit of a tough time in the last few seconds, but mostly able to extract themselves from a dicey situation. Three more barracks on the way. Oh, he only had 5 so far, not 8. Thought he was going up to double digits. Wouldn't be that surprised, but the Banelings are rolling in. The SCVs, where are you going? Well, that's not ideal. There go 10 SCVs. Gonna be a few more. Yes, there's a tank, but 14 SCVs down. GuMiho, most of his army on the other side of the map, but Solar consolidating his Hydras, Lings, and Banes. The tanks aren't sieged. He considers a fight off creep. He felt like he had that much of a potential advantage, but at the end of the day, knows better. The creep is just too much to give up. That 30 to 40% speed. A little bit more for the queens, though they won't admit it. Brenda, come back! Get up! Get out of there! Thank you! Be careful! Oh, here come the Hydra, Slings, and Banes. So many Marines clumped up here. There's no Marauders. He's going to just try to evacuate everyone. GuMiho ends up losing a lot of Marines there, and will pull back with the medevacs. Not the greatest fight. Gonna shut down a base of Solars. He's still keeping a lot of pressure on. Does he have a Ghost Academy? He does not. Though he's adding on some Liberators here. Something that can potentially deal with the Lurkers directly. As having 68 Marines and a couple Siege Tanks is not enough to deal with upgraded Lurkers. Assuming we get there. But Solar is now maxed out. He's got 79 drones. The bridges. Well, we'll see who's able to pass. The creep spreading across the bridges, which is a really cool effect. Beautiful map. Vipers are out. GuMiho able to get a 4th and a 5th. This is the most pressure he's been able to keep on the field throughout this series, since we've had 4 games of essentially the same exchanges. He's kept the creep spread at bay. It's difficult as a Zerg to find a base to really bring your entire army to bear here, as it's a lot of winding paths and literal bridges that can be held by Marines and tanks and Liberators. GuMiho using that. There's a big difference between playing passive and playing defensive. Passive is sitting back and waiting for the Zerg to come to you, whereas defensive is pushing back the creeper you can and retreating to your tank line where you can't. But always essentially scouting by being on the edge of where the army can be from Solar, instead of waiting for it to just maneuver around wherever it wants. Three about to complete, and things have slowed down dramatically here. So many command centers for GuMiho. A Liberator in the main knocks down a few drones. Oh my god, that Ursadak. On the bridge. Marines run right by it. Liberator actually managed to re-siege, but a Queen takes it out. Do we have any more planetaries on the way? He's got 2 planetaries producing and 3 command centers. Are those both okay, planetary on the edge here. Tank on the bridge. Pay the toll. Now that planetary gonna get blasted apart. The banelings are enough. Another army, just Marines here. Oh, parasitic bomb. GuMiho not quarantined the medevacs quite quick enough. Oh. Taking a lot of damage there. Solar moving along the right lane. How many Hydras on the field? He's got 16 of them. Nidus just finished. Probably gonna see some lurkers momentarily when he finds the supply. Nidus heads towards the main. I think GuMiho noticed. SCV's pulled. He's gonna need more than that. Solar using this as something of a distraction. But fighting off of creep into a concave of tanks. Oh no, the Zerglings! It is just Zerglings. If that was lurkers. Oh, nuclear missile on the way. It's not lurkers. Alright, stop worrying about lurkers now. When the Zergling's already dangerous enough. Snipes out the Ovi. Nuclear missile, high-sec auto-tracking, building armor for GuMiho. Solar taking down all the rocks here. The toll tank still blasting. Working on +3 mech weapons to be able to take down those Hydras in 2 hits. Well. Settle in. Solar opening up as many avenues of attack as he possibly can. The ghost count continues to grow. 5 ghosts going on 7. Vipers at the back. Parasitic bomb used to start things off. The banelings rolling in. Takes out a tank. Wanders into the parabomb. More tanks down. Is there cloak for the ghosts? Indeed there is. It will save several of them. The creep is really starting to encroach here. There are only so many bases left that Solar can take. There aren't that many bases in general here. And those center ones, the mixed gold-blue bases, are in a very precarious spot to deal with things like siege tanks and liberators. GuMiho EMPs the queens! Brenda, I'm so tired! That was a mean move. Building armor's done. Another army. On the map, 27 kill tank. Finally overrun. Wait, no, that's the high ground tank. Solar has now lost 8,000 more, almost double the minerals. Really starting to add up here. He can't find an angle to break through. Infester's on the way. A tactical Nidus in the center of the map. Quite a move. We haven't seen any lurkers. That's because they're burrowed. Shut up, I have the observer cam. There are 4 lurkers somewhere. I assume in that Nidus. Solar did manage to actually establish this base. Big attack over to the right flank. Yes, the lurkers are indeed in the Nidus. Base is taken out. Solar. Bit of an awkward pathing. And Solar expanding to this bottom left corner. Oh, well, if this isn't a demonstration of kind of the awkward movement. Two more factories on the way. GuMiho settling in. +3 mech weapons is done. Oh, but the bio army, the fungal, the hydras, should be able to get at least some of them here. The planetary holding the door for now. Another base will likely be taken down. Building armor helps out a bit, especially since these are only +1 hydras. Gonna just fight what army is out there. GuMiho has a lot of money in the bank. He's kind of just wandering around on the creep. I don't know if he realized how far forward he was. He found one of the Nidus worms. Oh, a command center burning its way across the countryside, terrorizing everyone. Burninating even. +2 missile attacks. Now done for the Hydras. And technically, even though it is a bit weird, it should just be ranged attack, I guess. Since, is the Lurker Spine a missile? Sure. Technically. Not to be pedantic. That's my job. Solar actually struggling to max out here, as he just can't find that engagement, and that he can't knock down enough of GuMiho's bases like he has been able to do on the other maps. He just keeps going through choke point after choke point, and GuMiho's been able to hold the line, never committing enough of his army to get wiped out. And if he... oh, be careful! But so far, the war of attrition is heading, I say tentatively, towards GuMiho. Not that tentatively. Solar's lost twice as many minerals. And he doesn't have that many more bases to mine from. So he's got to change the paradigm soon. But a Venn diagram of freedom with liberators, with planetary fortresses, with upgraded siege tanks, with ghosts, and of course plenty of Marine Marauder to back it up. He's got 18 siege tanks. Well, that is a pretty significant number. Blinding Cloud on a couple tanks. More Liberators, though, going to be able to siege up. No Fusion Core in order to get advanced ballistics. GuMiho with no Fusion Core is like, oatmeal with no water, or just oatmeal. Sad. It's sad, okay? A meal of oats. What am I, a horse? How to... well, the ghosts and gets a fungal. Oh, beautiful! He gets 2! The ghost will be slaughtered. The best case scenario, but the bridge! You shall not pass, Solar. Though if you go to the side, it'll probably be slightly better. But this bridge... well, with the Vipers, it might open things up. But the toll he paid. At what cost? Well, if Solar can mine from just one of these... well, actually, no. GuMiho has the other center base. So... we are in that war of intense attrition. What are you doing? How many siege tanks? 20 siege tanks! Wow. Just a ridiculous number of tanks here, holding so much ground. And the perfect map for it as well. Solar is scrambling. He's out of minerals. He's just not getting it done. He's added more and more lurkers. GuMiho still has a nuke in the bank. The only base that Solar is really comfortably mining from is taken out. Well, I guess it's not that comfortable anymore. There's still a siege tank in the main. But, oh my god, GuMiho at like 6... nope, I need to see it. That's gonna make me feel so much better about myself. Oh my god. Oh, GuMiho. One of us. One of us. No, we're professional commentator. There will be no chanting. There's no chanting. Professional. GuMiho with the most relatable. I was wondering where, like, 20 tanks, but never seeing more than like 6 or 7 of them. They clearly will get walled into the main to hide their numbers. Parasitic bomb. Oh my god. Well, so this game has been resting on the edge of a knife, and GuMiho about to bring 8 siege tanks in, which are a hard counter to a knife. So actually, it's been trending towards GuMiho, and 8 siege tanks help many, many different scenarios. These are unsiege tanks, I guess. Alright, well, actually, no, they got a bit ambitious. The Hydras, I'm not sure why they're not fighting the Hydras, actually. You could easily, he's got 3-1 tanks against... well, there's a siege tank there. The lurkers are still making this dicey. Even though GuMiho's had a great position for quite a bit, still really struggling to lock this down right now. The Queen Brenda, no! Susan's home! Oh no! Oh! Royal blood. The Queen slaughtered on the bridge. Unsiege tanks against, well, actually pretty good against lurkers. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there you go. Another blinding cloud. GuMiho's still struggling to take that left side base. But Solar's down to 115 supply. He doesn't... Well, nobody has any money, apparently. Actually, still 1 or 2 mining bases. But starting to run out of mineral patches on both sides. There's still... I love the split. I can't believe we've never seen this. But it's beautiful. It blends in with the tree. I love how the gold mineral patches are added in there. So it's a very valuable base. And also aesthetically pleasing, which raises property value. Speaking of raising property, GuMiho still wants to land this command center, but Solar's creep spread has re-encroached. Blue Flame is finally on the way. Maybe a bit on the late side. GuMiho has finally added in a more mechanically oriented build. It only took 25 minutes. And the most arduous... Oh, that's it! Wow, that was it. Solar ran out. He just has nothing left. He tried to fight into those tanks, which is... Well, he's been struggling to find an angle. The tanks are clearly struggling to find an angle this entire game. But that definitely hurts Hydras more than it hurts tanks if everybody's all bottled up like that. That's too much damage. Blinding Cloud, but there are still 8 tanks firing. Solar knows which way it's going. GuMiho strikes back, finally. Oh, that's not a massive confidence booster. But at least it's not a clean... GuMiho holds on. The start of a comeback. Hopefully, inspiring him to confidence. Even though that was a surprisingly close game for the overall advantage GuMiho held for so long. He's got to pull it together. Hold on to whatever momentum, small as it may be, he gained. As we go into game number 5. Solaris. Is he gonna go for the Reapers? All right. It's been a tough series for him. But here's the thing. He's been playing into Solar's hand in most of these games. But we saw that Solar... That was the game, in my opinion, for Broodlords. I said Solar's so flexible, but I think he's been so used to just going Hydraling Bane throughout the entire game, he just defaulted to it yet again. And this time, it wasn't enough. He didn't have that endgame composition of like Broodlord and Fester Viper. And GuMiho was able to grind him down. Now, Will he need to adapt this time? Because it looks like GuMiho's going to go for Reapers and very likely into Bio again behind it. We'll see. But that is the only real weakness, if you can call it that, that Solar has shown. I mean, this map, like, it's named after Solar, so Solar is. Is he your GSL champion? Is he going to have to go to Game 6? Is he a poor excuse for a terrible pun? Why not all of the above? Like, and so I do hope. It has been a bit of a... It's been a grueling series. It's been kind of tough, honestly, watching at least the first few games of GuMiho. As Solar, in that sort of scenario, clearly outclassing him. But I hope you've enjoyed the commentary. I hope I make your day a little bit better. And I hope, if you haven't yet, you like, and if you made it this far, if you survived, what are we at? It's not been under an hour, over an hour. Terran versus Zerg, and who knows how many more we have to go. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe if you haven't yet. We're going for 200,000 because it's a nice round number. And then more beyond, ideally, but that's the next goal. So the drone softened up a bit. 2 command centers on the way. Reactor and tech lab behind. We've got the reactor split. Solar built a lot of lings. 10 lings to deal with this. It's going to be 4 Reapers. 4 Reapers can beat 10 lings. Especially if there's any sort of cliff to work with. Obviously, they can run away. Those wings are mostly vestigial for the Zerglings. Yeah, and Stim is on the way. Well, this game was a bio game as well. It just ended up... Is it a coincidence that the only game so far featured more supply of mech units than it did of bio by the end for GuMiho? I don't think it's a goddamn coincidence. Alright? So, I think that clearly shows you where his biscuit is buttered. Of course, bio is a lot more flexible and less brittle most of the time in getting to that stage. So, hopefully GuMiho can buckle down and secure his position going into the late game. I have a hard time thinking of him ending it on the early Marine medevac, but that's always a possibility. Men with drugs and guns and a little bit of moral support have always historically been very strong for the Terrans. Last 1,000 years or so. Looks like a Hellbat timing. Not gonna try the Widowmine drop, I hope, here. Honestly, not particularly dangerous against the mid-game Zerg. Hellbats, on the other hand, can really tilt the scales in these relatively early fights. They can get, for some reason, the Hellion, when it transforms into a Hellbat, becomes a biological unit. Don't ask how. Alright. You might say a Hell Lion should also be as biological as a Hell Bat. But we're not here to do biology. Just, no matter how bio-curious you are, at the end of the day, a Hell Bat's a bio... I still don't understand it. It's just so it can be healed by medevacs. We'll see if it works out for him here. He's gonna drop him out. It looks a little odd, I'm sure, to Solar. He doesn't have a Baneling Nest. So, the most... Oh. GuMiho splits off the medevac. A curious choice. Yeah, the Hellbats are going into the main, but there's plenty of time. The Hellbats are not the quickest creatures. Yeah, like the drones, it's not like he didn't notice. He just, like, well, Well, that wasn't great. Instead of going for the all-out push, which may have had some success, as there wasn't a Baneling Nest. Instead, GuMiho splits off his Hellions and then just abandons 2 of them in the main. Not the ideal use. And unfortunately, this game, the upgrade severely delayed. Partially because of this early Hellbat timing. As GuMiho investing in the armory instead of the 1-1. And that means Solar is going to have better upgraded Ling Bane for as long as he keeps up on it. And I guarantee you he's going to start 2-2 immediately. I said I'm going to guarantee you he's going to start 2-2. There you go. That counts as 5 seconds as immediate. Close enough. What do we got? What? Alright, so 2 more Hellbats are going to die in exactly the same spot the last ones did. These ones got... Oh... Well, there goes the medevac as well. The Spore Crawlers to zone out. Solar... This is where I'm torn. Because GuMiho's doing the same thing that has had only 1 out of 4 games marginal success. He's doing this mass bio, high economy marine tank style. Solar has crushed him 3 out of 4 times. And it was a grueling grind that last game. I do wonder why we're doing it again. Well, we'll see. But there are no advantages here besides a potential big mistake out of Solar in taking a fight, maybe. But he's going to have better upgrades. He's already got a hive on the way. He's got plenty of production, good economy, 83 drones. So Solar does not need to commit to anything besides defending his bases. And the creep spread will make that difficult. Yeah, shuts down kind of an extraneous hatchery, but here comes Solar. There's only 2 medevacs. The rest of us left in the wreckage. The grenades bounce the banelings in. The medevacs seek refuge in the skies, which is not helping with map control. Solar just crushes the survivors of that push and forcibly evicts the medevacs as well. Three more barracks on the way. Well, at this stage, there's not much else to be done for GuMiho, except keep fighting and hope to take enough good ones to draw this game to at least kind of a stalemate situation. Not an actual draw, but where the armies... Oh my, that's a lot. GuMiho's 185 supply doesn't really tell the story of Solar. Has 2-2 done against 1-1. Honestly, it can probably fight Zerglings against this. Doesn't need to. Banelings rolling in again. Another drop force to be loaded up. 8, 9, 10 drones. Real damage done here. So we're starting to split off forces to deal with all this, but GuMiho getting real damage. He's also got some Marines on the high ground of the fort. Those will be cleaned up. 15 drones down. But Adrenal Glands is already on the way. GuMiho getting real progress. But the main force still remains. He has not killed a single Hydra. Hydra count continues to build. That's really an indicator, alongside the creep spread, of the momentum the Zerg has. The only time the Hydra count should go down is when they become lurkers. Solar is maxed out. GuMiho with tanks in kind of an awkward position. Tough to deal with, but it's only. He splits off a couple to deal with it. The Banelings close in, but he is able to pick up at that last moment. Tank is dealt with. No planetary here. Needs to start that as soon as possible. Adrenal Gland's about to complete seismic spines his well lurker range. Vehicle weapons level 1. Very important for GuMiho's heavy tank composition. So many Zerglings to the north. 3-3. The upgrades are 2-2 across the board. Marines sprinting back to defend. Zerglings overrunning another base. Planetary not completed. Tanks tucked into every possible corner. The Viper's gonna look to deal with it. He's forced to lift up. He evacuates 5 SCVs. The Hydras might be able to shoot down the command center here. Not quite. GuMiho loses. Whoa, he actually finds a great pickoff here. Gets several Hydras and Banelings. A big move that may give him the breathing room he needs to get that base up. He needs to target fire those Banelings. He does not. He's forced to pick up. Goes over the top. Now this base almost certainly will die. With the SCVs inside, yanks a tank over the top. That small advantage is turned immediately. GuMiho to the north. He's going to chase down some of the queens here. There should be enough Lings and Banes. Solar comes back to defend. He rolls with the punches and strikes back just as hard. The command center lived. So GuMiho's still going to have that area, potentially a staging ground for another attack. But the medevacs, with all hands, 20 supply, gunned out of the sky. And Solar with that will line up for another attack. Multiple tanks. The third base mostly exposed. Just a handful of tanks to defend. You need the Marines. You need more damage. Especially with the Vipers involved. And Infestor is just hanging out here. I don't know what that was doing there. Things getting a bit hectic. 3-3 going to finish slightly quicker for Solar. It looks like neither player going to have it for this fight. The Viper's coming up. Might be able to yank some of the tanks in. Brings one down from the high ground. Blinding Cloud negates a lot of the damage. Over to the right flank. More tanks dragged in. And the orbital command is forced to lift. A lot of the SCVs are going to go down, but the Marines and the Marauders have too much damage. And with the WLS speed zone there, are able to chase down a lot more Lings and Hydralisks. But at the end of the day, what has GuMiho accomplished except staying alive? And now, well, that's the first step to winning, is not losing. But the rest of it looks to be a long way off. Another clutch of Zerglings overrunning the tanks. 2 more down. GuMiho, 185 supply. He actually has more army supply, but he keeps chasing down the Zerglings. And, I mean, as he has to. Keeping things alive. Solar, now, a pretty significant lead. Oh, the natural. Nidus Worm revealed. Is there a Ghost Academy? There is. Are there ghosts? They're well cloaked if they're there. None on the units tab. 3-3 across the board. +1 missile attack and +1 mech weapons as well. Another Nidus outside the third. Solar's taken half the map and he's looking for more. Planetary. Blinding Cloud just on the bio, getting whatever he can. Not a great fight here at all, but maybe to distract for the lurkers that are about to pop out at the third. Will successfully do so. Just gives up this base immediately. A single tank going to be taken down. A hatchery in turn, but GuMiho still struggling to keep everything together. He's got a dozen medevacs here. Another Nidus at the back of a planetary fortress that managed to complete at least. GuMiho starting to stabilize here, but it's incredibly tenuous. One bad fight, and it could end in disaster. Solar has a lot of bank and multiple bases to fall back on. He can afford to lose 1 or 2, and he can bounce back easily. GuMiho can't really lose any more past what he already has. He doesn't... Well, he does have the money, now that we look at it. He's just struggling to spend it, as production is being whittled away. How many he's getting closer and closer to having a mech composition, which means his chances of success, in my opinion, are going up and up. Oh, parasitic bomb! Wombo combo! Fungal chained together! And a bunch of the medevacs will be taken down. He had too many anyways, but certainly don't want to lose them that way. The Banelings rolling in. The repair not gonna happen. He tries to pop in, but the planetary crumbles around the SCVs. The Hydras may be chased down, but at what cost? 84 Zerglings in production. Lurkers dunked down into the creep. There's not gonna be enough here to push in towards this base. The counter damage is not something that GuMiho can accomplish right now. All he can hope to do is hold on against the next wave and maybe retake this ground. But the Zerglings are starting to overrun it. The seismic spines are shaking their way through. and ripping apart the Terrans. 163 to 195 supply, and Solar's not done. More Zerglings. A scan sees the infester. GuMiho tries to reestablish here. Greater Spire's on the way, +3 mech weapons. Another round of Banelings for Solar. GuMiho 176. Still trying to keep it together. At the end of the day, will it be enough? Another wave. Here comes Solar. The Vipers yanks out the Liberators. Not too much left for the tanks, but is there enough by them? The Marines and Marauders are thinning out. The Hydras holding it together. The Liberators weren't actually killed awkwardly here. And... oh, that's a Changeling, not a Liberator, unfortunately. 84 more Zerglings. Solar refills. And he goes... well, he's ready to go again. 568 Zerglings down. He has many more than 500 more in the bank. That was quite a sentence. Where are the Vipers? Wants to try to deal with this. Refilling. GuMiho still really keeping his supply up. A laudable game so far. But Solar has a lot of space. Unlike Hecate, he can find an angle to attack, and he's using it. GuMiho acutely aware of it, but it's not going to be enough to hold on for now. He needs to strike back and force a fight where he can deal with some of Solar's economy, or he's just going to lose slowly but surely. +3 mech weapons done. Hydras and Lings cutting out a few tanks from the reinforcements. 7 Corruptors are on the way, and I don't think it'll end there. Broodlords on the agenda. Ooh, the Hydras, the Banelings. The reinforcements are getting cut off. Ghost dying. GuMiho slipping here. It's all crumbling. It's just too much space to cover. Solar has spread out throughout the map. The creep spread, encroaching on almost everything. Another attack, he brought the bio away and left a bare bones defense that is easily dismantled by Solar's Lings and Banes. 7 Broodlords. The first Broodlords of the game and the last Broodlords of the series. GuMiho will not survive this. Solar will be your Global StarCraft League champion. A true Zerg. The Swarm. Endless as he overruns the field. 25 more Banelings. But the Broods have arrived. The Emperor's new Broods. Should be more than enough. The siege tanks will work against GuMiho. The Lings and Banes will clear out any attempt for the Marines to close in. The Ghosts, few and far between. The Planetary, ripped to shreds. And Solar intercepts the army. GuMiho, nowhere to run. A medevac drop to the north, on a base that Solar doesn't even need. The Broodlords are heading towards the production. But through all the fire and through all the fury, well, he's gonna be able to snipe a couple. This is actually a pretty terrible fight from Solar. But GuMiho, Solar was the better player today. GuMiho trying to make that Marine tank composition work. And he's great at it. But Solar is certainly better. He deserves this victory. He deserves this championship. He deserves to not be ranked 4th, but definitely in the conversation for the best Zerg in the world. And GG! GuMiho taps it out, and Solar is your GSL champion. A comfortable victory. 4-1. A tough series for GuMiho. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking, but it wasn't hard enough. Solar runs him down and claims victory at the end of the day. I hope you enjoyed. It was tough, but I think still a pretty great series. Congratulations to Solar. Thank you again for 13 years of the GSL. Not the end of it. Sounds like an outro, but I started off with that anecdote, and I leave you with the end of this match. Thank you for watching. I hope I made a significant chunk of your day just a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck, have fun. Stay tuned.